Want to start or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I thought it would go away after the surgery. Well, it didn't go away.
Let's give a hand for
Hips started giving out.
John Mullen.
So anyway, I got to again on the
Is this thing on? No.
Nope. We can't hear you.
You have to press the button.
Mic check. Oh, now there I am. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Dirty Leprechaun here in Hutchinson, Kansas. It is my honor to introduce one of the most cool old guys that I know, and which is only 3, but this guy's still pretty cool. He's done comedy for over 5 years, and has done roughly 835 shows today, including. He's kicking off his 2019 tour, national tour, here with us this evening. I think after this wraps up, he should be at 49 states that he has visited and performed at.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Of course, he's a retired science teacher, so he's got everything all figured out already. You know, he's got the appropriate recipe for comedy, that's for sure. I will ask that this evening everybody turn off your cell phones. That way there's no interruptions and you can be entertained the entire time. No distractions. All right, I'm going to kick off with a couple jokes of my own. I just flew in today and boy are my arms tired. Hey, all right. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Orange.
Or two.
Orange, you glad I'm not America's funniest old man, Arizona Lou. Oh, good show,
Hey,
sir.
thanks. I was supposed to get some music up there, but it didn't work out. Things.
Settle down.
Then I shut off the microphone. You can tell I'm really skilled. I know what I'm doing up here. Hey, I'm gonna.
There you go.
You just gotta go with it.
We got to get this technology under control here. Maybe we'll see what happens.
We'll see who's the boss.
That was supposed to be a fade to nothing, but all right. Hey, thanks for letting an old guy up here. You ask how old?
How old?
Did you say anything, man? Do you expect me to do this comedy stuff by myself? Everybody now, how old?
How old?
77.
Wow.
Yeah.
11-7.
Yep. And can anybody beat that? We see, that was a wow. In comedy, we call that a sympathy. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I got a 7, in my
Yeah.
last one.
Yeah, okay, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, keep working, you'll get there.
Yeah, I know.
Of course, by then I'll be ahead of you.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm so old, I was born in MCMXLI. Now see, you know that's Roman numerals.
That's right.
I always have to explain it to people from Bueller. When I was a kid, that's all we had. Not Bueller, the Roman numerals. And back then when I would dial a number, I'd get Roman charges. And we had a whole different meaning for XXX.
Yeah.
It looks like some of you have been watching too much porn. Or in your case, man, you may need to watch more. I didn't finish my sentence yet. Sesame Street. The awkward nature, I worry about what's going to fall off next. I'm not even Caitlin.
Oh my goodness.
And, I just hope I don't fall asleep tonight, which is not going to be likely with you guys. You're so awesome, I want you to come and spice up my funeral. Too late. It was Tuesday. If I'm lucky, I remember what I want to say tonight. If you're lucky, I'll forget. or maybe wander off somewhere. Da, 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 da. Silver alert! Silver alert! I just hope I don't wander off to Chicago. Did you see the latest? Anybody here from Chicago? Did you see the latest? Shootings are up over last year. And murders are up too, but not nearly as much. Obviously, they need to take more gun classes. I did comedy in St. Louis. You know, that's the new murder capital of the U.S.
Yes.
I was disappointed when I was there. I didn't even collect any bullet holes. I make up for my waning physical prowess with my superior senior stupidity. I'm sure glad you didn't applaud for that one. Now, I'm not saying my brother was stupid, but, well, I was raised a middle child. You know, all the problems the middle child has. Well, last year, I graduated to the oldest. Yeah, we lost Stanley. Never did find him. We looked all over Hutchinson. I guess he forgot to click his heels together and say, there's no place like home. He was into supplements. He took so many supplements, now he has the healthiest prostate of anybody in the Greenwood Cemetery. He was a real estate mogul. Well, so he thought. He had a duplex over on Sherman, and he arranged with Billy to live there rent-free in exchange for fixing up the place. Any landlords here? Let's hear it by applause. All right, well then you know how that went. You know how that went. Well, Billy moved in with a carload of cockroaches. That's not funny. And it's not true either. It was worse. He moved in with his girlfriend, Dawn. At least I think that's what was under all those tattoos. She was so wrinkled, they were so wrinkled it was hard to tell. No wonder she was a chain smoker. I don't know about that. I've never smoked any chains. Well, she did have a winning smile, though. If you count 3 teeth. They made an excellent cigarette holder. She could puff her way right through a Kansas tornado. She moved in her 2 dogs. They barked like they were going to bite my head off. And I wasn't sure which head. She called the little one, the little one was Sledge, short for sledgehammer. She called the big one Maggie, short for 357 Magnum. Her pride and joy wasn't her big screen television in the living room. Her pride and joy was a long extension cord. She used it to plug into the neighbor's house.
That's the best way to do it.
She was real classy, though. She had a curved shower rod on the outside of the house. So her daughter could use the garden hose. Because nothing worked inside, I learned a lot about white trash then. And I had to join the ranks of white trash. Because if you've ever noticed my little van out there, it starts with a wire hanging out from under the hood. Speaking of my van, driving here on the what is it, 61?
Yeah, probably.
On the 61, people were, come on in.
Okay.
Find a seat. We've got nice seats over there. People were passing me left and right. They were driving like maniacs. They had to be going at least 40 miles per hour. And I know I was driving safely because I had my left blinker on the whole time. Well, don't get the wrong idea, but I do drive a minivan. And I don't want you to believe what you hear about the old guy in a white minivan. Because I don't have candy. And I haven't lost a puppy. So I don't have one. Or biting, chewing, barking, pooping, petting. Well, not petting that kind of puppy. With today's technology, I could have kids. I could get lots of kids. Hey, I've got free Wi-Fi, unlimited data, privacy windows. Oh, I see you broke your screen. I can fix it, but you'll have to get in line. Now, you're not laughing. These are jokes. I could get so many kids, I'd have to beat them off. And I'm not a priest. Yeah, Stanley had those real estate properties, and it's interesting that I need a drink of water. Sorry about that. I got lost driving here with my GPS. Now you wonder what that is. Well, for people in Heston, it probably stands for God provides stuff. In San Francisco, gay and perfectly satisfied. In my case, maybe it's geezer, plain and stupid. You know, every generation has had people that are stupid. Some people became famous for it. When I was a kid, we didn't have the Kardashians. We had the crazy mountain man. Hey, I climbed this mountain during a thunderstorm and talked to God. I brought down these 2 rocks, and you people were so disgusted, and I smashed them. And they were important. I don't know how they could have been important. They didn't say anything about Good Friday. Anybody know who that was?
Moses.
Hey, yeah, he was going to Sunday school.
Yeah.
But he's the guy that got lost out in the desert. And the thing I can't figure out is how did he have a whole mob of people following him for 40 years? Well, he wasn't as bad as the guy that got lost 4 times on the wrong continent. You know who that was? He says, hey, I'm going to go somewhere. They said, okay, we'll give you ships and stuff. We'll give you all this money so you can have money to go there. He went there, but he was lost and never made it. Came back and says, well, I went there.
Yeah.
They sent him to do it again and again. You know who that was? Yes, you're smart. Christopher Columbus. He wasn't good at navigating by the stars and had trouble with this OnStar. This is my first show for this tour, and I'm so excited I'm about to pee in my pants.
Bathroom back there.
Back there, it's real nice.
or did I? I forgot. You know us old people.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, only the front row know for sure.
We're right there with you.
Aren't you glad you sat way back there now? You're smarter than we thought you were. Like they say in SeaWorld, Ladies and gentlemen, during tonight's performance, the firm might get splashed. Speaking of holding things, I think I can hold it. Speaking of holding things, Mother used to say, Louis, hold your horses. Of course, yeah, you're nodding your head. I mean, you're too young to know that.
Our grandma used to say it all the time.
Yep. Well, then what was it during the 70s?
That I have no
Cool
idea.
jets.
Yes, cool your jets. I like you. You people are good. And then what was it after cool? What did you say nowadays?
Pump your brakes.
Pump your brakes?
Slow your roll.
Slow your roll? Good. You guys are good. Take a chill pill?
Yeah.
Don't have a rack attack?
Correct.
Calm your tits?
Hadn't heard that one.
Well, then you want to remember this if you go to Hawaii. Hakuna your tatas.
Don't you ever say that. Oh, no, you don't.
Well, somewhere between the horses and the jets, it was hold the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I need to explain to you young people that that's singular because there was only one and it was fastened to the house with a wire. Of course, now it means something entirely different. It means, here, watch my video. Oh, don't hold it like that. You might put it in the telephone Neverland. Don't hold it by the side. You might put it in the mode to explode. So you have to cradle it on the palm of your hand. Let's hear it by applause. How many have done that, dropped it, and broken the screen? And you're which part of Hutchinson do you live in?
Oh, the west side.
West side. Okay, well, I need to explain something to you since you're from the west side.
Well,
I asked for an applause.
You raise your hand.
You raised your hand. An applause takes two hands and makes noise. When you get home, explain that to the other people on the west side. Well, watching broke your screen, been watching too much porn.
Bam.
Or maybe Sesame Street. But there's other things you can do. Let's hear it by applause if you're a grandparent. All right, all right. This is the way I held my first grandchild. But there's other ways to hold grandkids. This one leaks. Here, Mommy, stinky baby. Or when the kid gets older, I hate ceiling fans. I don't know how this is related, but I've got t-shirts. All profits go to a charity that helps senior citizens. Also, I have pictures, and I don't know who'd want a picture of me. Well, if you do, it's good target practice.
Well,
And then I've got these little thumb drives. Each one is equal to 2 DVDs of videos from some of my comedy shows. And everything's $10. And if you get one, depending on how my comedy career goes, get one of these t-shirts after 5 years, you might have something good for $12. Or good for stinky baby. At 77, there's some things I still don't understand. Now, you know what a jewel is, J-U-U-L?
Yeah.
Well, I had no idea what a jewel was. All I was familiar with was the family jewels. And I was with a group of comedians in a restaurant. Bill belted out, Avery, get your hands off my jewel. What did I miss out on? And what was Avery doing with his hands that I didn't see? And what was poor Bill doing with only one jewel? And why did he have it up on the table? Well, I don't understand why Sony makes such crappy keyboards. I excitedly put on my website that I went to the Dominican Republic. The keyboard left out the L, and I'd actually call it the Dominican Republic. There went my reputation, like I had one after that stinky baby thing. Sent my daughter an email. I just got booked for 3 minutes at Harris showroom. Sorry about Harris, Dad. The computer left out the K and actually written, I just got booed for 3 minutes. I don't understand why Kindle, I got a Kindle and I got a book for it. Why does Kindle call it the hardcover edition? How can that be when there's no cover? And how can it be hard when the book's software? Of course, I like your technology, people. Of course, nothing about this body is hard, ever. Well, maybe one thing, in the mornings, it's real hard getting out of bed. I just sort of roll over onto the floor. Well, they have a way to make things look bigger than they really are. Products like bars of soap, they make 5-ounce bars look like 7-ounce bars, just by the shape of it. Well, why don't they put it in something useful, like making 5-inch condoms look like 7-inch? Wouldn't do me any good. Maybe jockey shorts? Ooh, I'm holding something. It's about 6 inches long. It is hard. Red on the tip. Mostly round. You're not laughing, guys. Is yours completely round? It's what's inside it that makes it useful. I can spin it around. I can blow it. In fact, I'm so talented at the same time I can hold it and blow it. Don't believe me, do you? This is dirty, it's clean. I washed it today. Lots. With soap. Rubbed it real well. Let's hear it by applause if you want me to pull it out of my pants right now. Let's hear it by applause if you don't want to see it. All right, then stay in there. You two didn't make any noise applaud either time. You can't make up your mind. I know this is a hard decision for you.
Close your eyes.
Well, if you don't want to see it, hide your eyes on 3. 1, 2, 3. You're peeking. This is an anemometer.
Got him.
The magnets inside register the wind on your cell phone. You want to blow it? She can't blow it. You want to blow it?
No, I've got
No, please don't blow mine. It's good for flying kites, sailing, and stand-up comedy.
I think they got on top of drones. I see them turning up there.
Yeah, well, they
keep the birds away from the
Is that what
window.
it is?
Yeah.
they just roll around, but this actually has magnets in it that registers the wind and makes a graph on your cell phone.
That's cool.
Yep. And when we get 28-mile-an-hour winds, I'm ready to go kiteboarding. Well, I had a
That's why you have it for your kiteboarding.
yes. That's why I have it. Well, I just happen to have it with me now. And I am participating in a study sponsored by Stanford University of posture and its relation to pain, back pain, at the Egoscue clinic. Now, Egoscue, to me, that sounds like a disease you don't want to ever talk about. But the guy, the technician, got down real close to my pelvis and inspected it. No, not that way. And said, "Sir, your right pelvis, your right hip is a little higher than your left hip." I said, "Well, that's all right. I can take care of that." "Oh, and sir, you don't have the right curve in your spine. You need to have more curve in your spine." "Well, I can take care of that too." "Oh, and sir, your left butt cheek isn't sticking out as far as your right butt cheek. They should be even." "Well, I can take care of that too." "Oh, and sir, your shoulders are rounded. You should have them back more for correct posture." "Well, I can take care of that too." "What's wrong with that old man?" "I don't know, but he sure has good posture." Let's hear if you've ever had a colonoscopy. Okay, you're to the age, yeah. Get colonoscopy when it comes time. They save lives. Well, I had my last colonoscopy. It seems when you reach a certain age, they don't give you colonoscopies anymore. I guess they figure too close to gone, it doesn't matter. Well, I decided I would have my colonoscopy without anesthesia. So, well, I read about it, so but hey, I'll do it. So there I was, laying like this, in the correct position, and there were big monitors out front. I had never seen my butt on big monitors in high definition. And the surgeon said, "Well, I'm going to use some numbing gel before I put my probe in." Why did he use numbing gel? Why not just regular KY gel? Wouldn't it be a lot more fun? His probe was interesting, kind of like a snaky control. Functionally, it was more like a little tiny train with a big light and a photographer on the front and a garden hose so he could spray stuff off and an air hose so he could inflate going around the tight corners. Oh yes, to clean up everything, a shop vac. Well, he did find a polyp. It was so small it wouldn't have been able to been found otherwise, so he just pulled it out. Sort of like picking up a mushroom. Got the polyp out. And when he was finished, he says, "Well, Louis, since I've pumped you full of gas, you can go ahead and you can pass gas now." All right, that's a fart. I couldn't do it. Usually I'm so talented. But couldn't do it that time. Well, that's the way that goes. I try to be healthy. I got a hold of try to eat right. I got a hold of some string beans that were so stringy by the time I finished eating them, I'd already flossed my teeth. Let's hear if you have gone to a gym. All right, good. Well, have you ever noticed the guys, I don't take supplements like creatine. Guys at the gym that do have those great big muscles, they've got little tiny thumbs. No kids are around, so they also have little tiny dicks.
But they got boobs.
You never know. Well, I've got little tiny muscles and a great big microphone. Now, it appears to me that you probably have a big microphone also. It's probably harder than mine. I do go to the gym, and she's still picturing the microphone. I do go to the gym. And I recognize the equipment from when I was, well, what they did is they just added foam pads and logos to machines from when I was a kid during the Spanish Inquisition. You're in history, you know how that was about 650 years ago. Yep. When I was interested in some agony, I'd say, I'm going to go down to the dungeon and visit the Inquisitor. Some of you, that might be a new word. Nowadays, you do strange things. You say, hey, I'm going to go down the street and visit my chiropractor. Or my personal trainer. Or some of you, that might be a new word. Have you ever noticed from pictures back then that the naked subjects on the rack always had a little white cloth covering just the right spot? I was the towel boy. Don't stretch him out yet. I'm stumbling over the microphone stand. I've got the towel here. Let's hear it if you want me to do it. What about the rest of you? Yeah, I was the high point of his day. He was having a bad day. Oh, and I forgot, he's black. Get one of these t-shirts, it'll be good for your high point. Well, when the inquisitors would put the bodies in an impossible position, in those days we called it inquisition. You call it torture or yoga. Well, I yogaed right over to the free weights. And you know I've had to quit doing the big weights, like an hour at the DMV. And I've had to quit doing bench presses because they bolted them all down. Yeah. I can tell you haven't pressed any benches.
Not in a while.
Well, then over at the free weights, I've had a terrible time getting the 45-pound dumbbells home. Imagine putting one of those in your gym bag. You know, the free ones? I'd be so unbalanced. My ex would say, Lou, you've always been unbalanced. I thought about putting one in each hand, but then wouldn't it look suspicious leaving the gym with 2 gym bags? And I couldn't run. I do run. When I went to Walmart, I parked away from the door so I could strip my tired blood as I ran in for a few things. As I was running back to my van, the kid said, "Hey, little man, how come you running so fast?" Well, you would be too, son, if you've been shoplifting. String beans. I do want to live. Oh, I've got 3 rules of the gym I've got to tell you. Rule number 1, fat always comes off, excuse me for using the F word there, always comes off last where you want it off the most. To me, it's right down here by the microphone stand. Rule number 2, don't die. Oh, unless it's convenient or Sunday. The audiences never laugh at that one. Rule number 3, forget the gym. Take a big bowl of chips to the couch and binge watch 50 Shades of Barney 5. Unless you're into Golden Girls.
Hey, I like
If you're into hot chicks, then the Golden Girls. Yeah, but they're not for me. Too young.
Oh, shit.
I do want to live a long time. On my 100th birthday, I want to be here with you guys, bringing in the new year, 2042. Yeah, all it'll take is about 660 million heartbeats for me. Now for you young guys, it'll take 1 billion heartbeats if you forget to pull out. In Heston, I say if you forget your devotions. In San Francisco, it's if you forget your meditation. But the problem is with pulling out, you have to know how to get in first. You know? I plan to still be in the game when I'm 100 years old. Although I'm sure I won't know what game. And I won't know what the score is. But you can be, I bet I'll still be on the bottom along with the Browns. The Browns fans don't like that. Well, I went on a kiteboarding trip to Maui. Now, let's hear a by applause. Have you heard of kiteboarding?
Yep.
Well, then, okay, if you've been around me, you've heard of kiteboarding. Well, what it is you're flying a huge kite up in the wind while it's pulling you on a wakeboard or surfboard. Awesome. No boat anywhere around. It's so cool. Well, I saw an 85-year-old guy getting a kiteboard lesson there. I took care of him, and I'm the oldest surviving kiteboarder in the world. You see, this death stuff, this couch always gets it. Well, unfortunately, we didn't have the usual wind there, so I did a lot of SUP. That's S-U-P, stand-up paddleboarding. As opposed to what I do up here, suck. Come on, there's S-U-C, stand-up comedy. Well, SUP was kind of a challenge for me. First challenge was getting the board across the beach down to the water. That went pretty well until I got stuck in the sand with my little electric rascal scooter. So I decided to hold the board sideways, and that went pretty well until I took out 2 kids, beep, beep, and a mother breastfeeding a baby, beep, beep, who was offending an old man until I took him out. Ding! Solved that social problem. Well, then I decided that I would put the board under my arm and use the handle. They shouldn't call that a handle. It's too small. They should call it a fingal. When I finally got the board down in the water, my challenge was to go from my knees to standing up. And it looked something like this.
There's the posture.
I appreciate that. Ah! I should have had my walker. I did get a wave, though, from a lifeguard. Hey, get out of here. This beach is closed to old men with big boards and little tiny Speedos. I really did catch a wave. There at the Kahului Harbor, I rode that little wave 561 feet. My nurse never caught me. My last day there, it was windy for a change, so I was kiteboarding over the boneyard. Now that's, like Mother Nature said, hey, let's put some big, rough coral reef rocks there just for him. I was riding on my little surfboard without foot straps. That was stupid, because foot straps would have kept me on. Well, I blew a jibe, got drug off the board, and, well, let's say I fed the fish with donations of skin from my knee, foot, and another body part I don't talk about much. My left thigh. Well, coming back on Hawaiian Airlines, I got really well acquainted with the airline bathrooms. And I declare, Boeing engineers said, let's measure people and we'll make our bathrooms 3 inches smaller. And then we'll make the doors open in so they have even less space than they started with. And we'll put a note on the door that says pull, so they have to touch the place after everybody else has touched, after they've touched their stuff. And the bathroom will be so small that if you're a young guy, you're really out of space if you get a boner. Accidentally, of course. And then the wall is curved, so you have to stand like this to be in position. And for me, oh yes, that's not all. And the faucets have no delay, so when you turn the water and take your hand off, it stops immediately. So you know when you're going to try to get your hand under the water in time. It's going to be like the last time you had diarrhea. You know you're not going to make it in time. And then the paper towel holders slot is narrower than the paper towels, so you're guaranteed to get confetti. And then the waste door is so strong that it's going to flip the confetti back in your face. For me, it looks something like this. Ladies, I just raised the seat. And you hardly even noticed. You didn't say anything. And I wouldn't have had to, because nobody would have known the difference. Besides, I'm in here by myself. And this is an imaginary bathroom. I'm going to do it again, and I want to hear something. Did I hear you say something?
Me?
Whose side are you on? Someone from that
I raise
couch.
the seat when I go to the bathroom.
He sits down.
Anyway, then you have to do your thing.
Well, I do.
Can't rush a good thing, you know. Have to change this visual if you're a lady. Or from San Francisco. You notice the flesh is so violent the toilet paper blows in the wind? No, not that kind of wind. That was the person before me. Well, my next trip was the opposite direction. A road tour, a road trip. Kiteboarding road trip to the Outer Banks. Let's hear if you've heard of that. Well, then let me explain. That's where you're driving on a road. Oh, the Outer Banks. How many have heard of Hatteras Island? How many have heard of Kitty Hawk?
Yeah, North Carolina.
Wright brothers.
Yeah.
Airplanes.
Yeah.
You haven't heard it? Let me explain a few things to you. It's all located off the coast near North Carolina with some of the best wind and kiteboarding conditions in the world. And while I was out there, when there wasn't enough wind to go kiteboarding with my friend Tim, we did SUP. And while I was barely able to stand up on my board, he was showing off doing yoga. Anybody here into yoga? All right, cool. And your name?
Steve.
Steve, namaste. Come on, use your yoga form.
Yeah.
Now let me explain for the rest of you, that's yoga speak for howdy, partner. I know about this yoga stuff because I took my first yoga class on the Outer Banks. Heather, our instructor, said, just relax. Well, she had us holding a 2x4. Oh, now, you yoga types call that the plank position. That's like me telling you to relax with one foot at the dock and the other on the boat. I go down farther, but I hurt myself. And I don't have one of those red things, you know, help me get back up. And I might drag the floor. Well, the hardest for me was the doggy style. What do you mean, old brother? Well, you yoga types, you know, you call that the downward facing dog. Because you haven't yet invented the Gangnam style. Well, that wasn't all I had to hold. I had a determined methane bubble that desperately wanted to reach the atmosphere. You yoga types call it a fart. With concerted effort, I was able to hold it. Not the doggy style, though. But Heather came around and after the class and used some smelly stuff to massage my head. Like this head. I just hope she didn't mess up my hair. Yeah, that's a joke. This hair is a joke. What should be growing out here is growing out my ears. Well, at least it keeps the bugs out. My ex says, well, it keeps the bugs in with all the craziness. Ah! Well, I wasn't the only one with a pesky methane bubble someone might want to escape. It was one of those minimal displacement, extended duration, high amplitude expulsions. You call that a long, loud, or toot, if you're from Heston. But I started to laugh until I realized I was the only one. That's when I learned in yoga you gotta know when to hold them. Comedy, I started doing comedy like John said about a little over 5 years ago. You ought to try this comedy stuff. You could be up here like me. Peeing in your pants. Depends. Some of you knew that was coming. Well, I went to the Dominican Republic and just about lost these 3 fingers. I went down there for kiteboarding and comedy. I should have stuck with the safe stuff like kiteboarding. Instead, I had to do something stupid and dangerous. Let's hear it by applause if you've ever done anything stupid. Okay, I was just checking to see if you were lying or not.
I just forgot.
Yeah, at our age we forget stuff, right? Well, I didn't forget this stupidity because I'm reminded of it every day when I look at my fingers. Well, I did something stupid and dangerous. Stand-up paddleboarding. Sup? Well, I stepped off the board at a little beach. A wave's going to come and flip my board up, take it from him. I says, well, I can win this bout with Mother Nature. So I grabbed a little loop of rope at the back of the board and held on tight. She's just waiting for me when I can't say anything. Well, the wave flipped the board over, wrapped the rope around my finger, and slammed it. I won. I still had the board. Also won a trip to the emergency room. I knew I was in trouble when I looked down and saw my index finger dangling by some skin. Go to the bottom of my webpage if you want to see what it looked like. You have to click several times to find them. I put it back on the stump, and I didn't notice that I just broken these 2 fingers. But I did notice, ladies, I didn't break one fingernail. So I decided I would try to get some help and use my extensive Spanish vocabulary. Emergency! A young guy put my board to be safe so I could go to the road and hitchhike into town. And I couldn't even do that right with my hand like this. The guys thought I was just being friendly, and they waved back. Ah! Buenos tardes. Second car did stop, but would you have stopped for a guy wearing nothing but wet black hat, little wet red blood, little wet black Speedos? The second car did stop, John Paul, and my mother always told me, and you'll recognize this, wear clean stuff in case you have to go to the emergency room. So we stopped by my hotel because I wasn't about to go in what I had on. And I threw on a grubby t-shirt. Well, it was grubby because it was the only thing handy. Mother would not have been proud. Put on cargo shorts over my Speedos. That was stupid. And embarrassing because I only had one hand. John Paul had to zip me up. If I'd had more time, I would have put on clean t-shirt, clean dry underwear. Mother would have been proud until finding out that John Paul would have to tuck me in just right. Never left. Well, in the hospital, the nurse, who did speak any English, handed me the hospital gown and stood there. Well, of course, I motioned to the door. She stood there, indicating she wanted to make sure I took off everything. And she wanted to make sure I had everything. Well, maybe not a foreskin. The next day I was discharged from the hospital, going back to my hotel. I could still use my hand to change TV channels. My fingers were all bandaged. These two were, thumb and this pinky were sticking out. This was all bandaged and splintered. I could change TV channels, made a good hat rack. I could do the wave. Unfortunately, I couldn't engage in my favorite evening activity while I was on the internet since I'm right-handed. Holding my pencil and taking notes. And I'm not completely rehabbed yet, but when I get there, I want to be able to keep a tight fist and hold my center finger erect. So I have the proper equipment when I drive in New York City. Well, the next thing, I probably ought to introduce myself a little more. To avoid confusion in my travels, I go by Arizona Lou, since I'm usually the only guy from Arizona. And before 1912, when Arizona became a state, I went by Territory Lou. And before that, Caveman Lou. These keep coming. And they get worse. Before that, Ditch Lou. Told you they'd get worse. It was just a little ditch. Then after it grew and grew. Grand Canyon Lou. And before that, Jurassic Lou. Let's hear it by applause if you can drive a stick shift. Anybody? I'm not talking about a boner. But while we're on the subject, I volunteered for a clinical study of Viagra in Virginia at the University of Longwood. Helping out with science gave me a really good feeling. Although I expected it to be a lot harder. It was one of those double-blind studies. Even the researchers didn't know who was coming. They put us in hospital gowns, and we looked like Sheriff Joe's tent city. I was the only one without a rigid tent pole. Imagine propping your tent up with one of those things you get from Dollar Tree, a fun noodle. It wasn't fun. It was embarrassing and not uplifting. But we were bored stiff. Well, I'm 77. I was just bored. We played Monopoly until One of the guys knocked all the pieces off the board.
I mean,
Yeah. Happy Sack was, well, we got kind of testy for that. Our version of tag was Pokemon.
oh,
Go! I hated it. I didn't have a good poker. The other guys hated my favorite. Twister! We appreciated it when the researchers gave us a shake break. They also gave us homework. One of the young guys says, Doug, can we help each other out? Well, let me look. Says it has to be hands-on. Self-service. No double headers. Do I need to explain that to you people? Now that homework is when I learned that you don't need special expensive stuff. If you go to Dollar Tree and get their hairstyling gel, works just as well. Good thing I wasn't raised a Baptist. It's a good thing I was raised a Baptist. If I'd been a Catholic after each session, I need confession. And they give me a dishonorable discharge. Well, during the study, I couldn't stand erect. Couldn't keep my eye on the ball. Make that plural. One of the researchers accused me of being a swinger. He got to keep him ventilated, you know. So I had to quit the study without giving them any bona fide data. And I couldn't even go 4 hours without falling asleep. And so if you decide you want to get one of these t-shirts, you can use it after your homework too. I was in Dillon's at the produce department, just set aside some bananas, and up walked old Oscar. I don't know if that was his real name, but he really was a grouch. I said, I hope you find some good ones, but you can't have these, they're mine. Don't want them. Do you like to laugh? No. Do you like comedy? No. I think he really was Oscar the Grouch because he was after me to check out and said, good riddance, when I left. I save boxes because I read instructions. Everything you get, it says, save this box. So I've got boxes for a printer, scanner, office chair, mother-in-law. And I'm getting so many boxes in my house back in Phoenix. Oh yes, I really do have a house. People that see me in my van didn't think I had one, so I had to put a picture of it on my website. I'm getting so many boxes, I may have to move out of my house into a box, which is not going to be easy with a mother-in-law. Well, that's not true. She's dead. I don't know why you're laughing, but she just as well be. Have you ever noticed that we tried to sugarcoat death? He's gone to greener pastures. He's gone to be with the Lord. My family's pretty sure I'm not in that category. 72 virgins pushing daisies. Well, I'm going to be pushing dandelions and weeds. Notice that was plural, not singular, you people. Well, we also try to sugarcoat on the way to death. How many remember when you used to send grandma to the old folks' home? So you had the old folks' home. Well, pretty soon they decided people might realize they're old and that would not be nice. So they changed it to the senior center. Well, after about 10 years or so, they decided that might upset some people, so they changed it to the Dare County Older Adult Center. Now, when you get grandkids, they'll probably send grandma to the Older Toddler Center. And she'll toddle in, and she'll toddle right back out. And I don't know when I'm going to leave this world, but I know how, sort of. My body's going to go to science. They're going to take out everything that's useful, which means nothing up here, anything that's useful, and donate the rest to the University of Tennessee Body Farm. And so that's kind of cool to be able to do that. And you know, with our wrinkles and splotches, I've worked a long time and I'm proud of these wrinkles and splotches. To me, that's a sign of wisdom and experience. Now, to the commercial world, that's a sign to spend more money and pretend they don't exist. No, don't do that. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to include here. Oh yes, I flew to New York City to do comedy. Since I paid my own way, I flew basic economy. Well, let's hear it by applause if you've ever flown basic economy. Okay, for you rich people, let me explain basic economy. That's where you're last to board the airplane. That means you're after the standbys, after the homeless. And then when you get onto the airplane, all the overhead bin space is gone with the wind. And then they give you a little narrow middle seat, which is fine because I have a little narrow middle butt. Wasn't the case of the guy next to me. He was, well, let's say he was of generous enough proportions that he was wedged in so tight he wasn't going anywhere. Well, except to New York City. And so that was that. And I had to fly somewhere because I got a new backpack. Now, it's supposedly the biggest you can have for your personal item, so it would fit under the seat. I had to try it out, of course. In this case, I didn't fly to New York City. I flew to Fargo, North Dakota. They're doing a benefit show up there. Now, people wonder if I question my sanity going from Phoenix to Fargo in April. Well, it should be pretty nice. Turns out we had a blizzard and I was delayed a day getting back. But I tried out my backpack. My backpack was sort of, think of it as a little suitcase. It's kind of mushy and floppy. That suits me just fine, mushy and floppy. But it worked. Okay, let's see what else I want to say. I'm trying to beat a record here, go over an hour. I think that's most of what I wanted to say. Oh yes, like I said, I don't know how I'm going to leave this world. But I want to leave going as fast as I can. Having fun. I want my obituary to read, Arizona Lou died in an avalanche of boxes. I had voice surgery, and that's why I have the PA system turned up so high. I have a weak voice. And it's embarrassing. My voice goes up high. I'll answer the telephone. Hello? May I please speak to the man of the house? I am the man. Or worse yet, hello? Are your parents home? Yes, they're up on the mantle. I'm sure glad you people came. You're great. I enjoyed it being here. And look me up on the internet. And like my doctor tells me, Lou, you're out of time.
Thank you, Lee.
If you want t-shirts and stuff, they're out here. You need help getting up?
Yeah, please. I'm messed up right that now. Thanks, guys.
I feel pretty messed up.
Yeah, probably most.